but thank God say Mayegun don come. So my people make you loud down, yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun diary politico, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. This one not dey off in mind, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Person wey dey do evil no wan make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too dey talk. He too dey talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Poor man pikin, dey the street, dey hawk. Still them talk, say, make we no talk. But thank God, say, Mayegun don come. So my people make you loud, oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don come, oh, yo, yo. My people make you shout, oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don come, oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don come, man of the masses.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Mayegun ti dé o, ọ̀rẹ́ ara yìí.
You've heard that millions of times.
Mayegun number one.
Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube.
Mayegun diary.
Share this broadcast. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them Mayegun today.
Mayegun number one.
Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Bó bá ṣe àní Mayegun máa wí.
Mayegun
Things
diary.
are happening very, very fast these days. Few weeks ago, we were talking about Shakpa Mercy Bien. That is Shakpa Joe now. Lately, people are adjusting, they are adapting. We are beginning to hear Shakpa Malekun. All praise be to Shakpa and so many other praises on Shakpa these days as people are adjusting in Tifnubunomics.
Mayegun number one.
Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Yes.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
What you have on your screen is what the people of Nasarawa collected as their own subsidy palliative from the government of palliatives, by the way.
Lórí YouTube.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́.
Ladies and gentlemen, watching me from Nigeria, this is August. In another 2 months, it's going to be exactly a year that they released the Lagdo Dam by the Cameroonian authorities, right? Well, they have now put Nigeria on notice. They are going to release the dam again. The last time they did, you know all the stories, the Yamayama nonsense, it was under Bukwari.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Becoming more dramatically in Nigeria, the governors from Nigeria, right, traveled to Kigali in Rwanda to go and discuss on how to handle foreign investors and how to govern a country. Nigeria governors, see their faces over there.
Àìgbà olóṣèlú.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Mayegun ti dé.
So good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live. I've got loads of gist for you tonight. A lot of them just to keep your conscious and subconscious mind active, well fed with the right information, so that when you found yourself in that kind of a state of state of confusion, like how did Nigeria get to this stage? All these little vital information are like water to water your consciousness and sort of prevent you from falling into the camp of the morons that are always deceived again and again. The moronic, army that are already becoming lunatics. And what do I mean by that? There is a popular saying that if you do same thing again and again and again, and you are expecting a different result, Baba, you are actually mad. Those are the symptoms of madness. Now, for those who are deceiving people every now and then with different names of, all kind of deceit, manipulation. But if you are a regular on Mayegun's Diary Politico, you are always a step, if no more, ahead of their supposed shippies. So you are welcome to the Temple of Truth, Mayegun's Diary Politico, right? And it could have been our Sunday sermon, but it doesn't really matter. We can mix them together tonight. A recent update from the last horrendous, or should I say horrendous economic policies of Bokwari under the same APC, Egbekegbe. I'm talking about Nigeria losing over 50% of their own revenue source to oil smugglers, oil thieves. People came to Nigeria with big vessels, and they were loading 700,000 barrels of crude oil every day for 7 straight years, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, practically you can say they were lifting over 21 million barrels of Nigeria crude oil, and Nigeria government knew nothing about it for 7 years, until election remained 7 weeks, then 7 days. They started discovering the ships that have been taking or stealing oil from Nigeria, but nobody knows their identity. Nobody knows these guys who have been stealing this oil, because why? The vessels were destroyed. Yeah, burned down on sea and all of that. A country that was losing 21 million barrels of crude oil every year, steadily, right, is not interested in finding out who was taking that crude oil and what are they doing to end it and stop such trade. No. Nigeria lost over 300 billion US dollars to those oil smugglers under Bukwari. But guess what? It was the NNPC in charge. Now fast forward to 8 years after their ruinous, calamitous Egbekegbe APC government under Bukwari. Nigeria became the poverty capital of the world, the capital of the capital of the world jobless people. Yes, and then the world most terrorized people. We're like swimming in those new life depths. So you will think, right? Maybe it could have been an in-house work. So when a change of government happens, automatically there should be change of doing things. Abi? Change. Because the criminals who were in charge, who put this scheme together, they are still very much in charge. But they also need to play to the gallery for their own audience too. And what happened? Ribadu, the new NSA to Tifnumbu, was saying with the minister, the one they made the Minister of Defense, former Jigawa governor, as well as the one they made the Minister of Defense for states, former Zamfara governor, right? They were in River State to discuss oil theft in Niger Delta, right? I mean, some people were kind of, why were they not in Zamfara, where a whole local government has been taken over as gold mine and all that? I'll show you that one. That's what people were saying.
Wa kun ga da ba wannan ne na aka canta kilo
bari in mun koma mu zo da sai
Sagiru dan sagi shege ya san wuri mai kyau kenan
idan uba
kun ga da
That's a gold mine in Zamfara State, where thousands, if not tens of thousands, of Zamfarans, they are digging for gold dust, which nobody knows where the gold ends. But that is not an excuse for what is going on in Niger Delta. They are unofficially stealing Nigeria crude oil, right? For 7 straight years. There's actually a vessel they caught, which has been stealing crude oil for the past 12 years. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all you're going to hear about that. So when Ribadu jumped and the rest of them to show that they are now ready, Nigeria, the almighty Nigeria, with nearly the biggest naval force in Africa, but unable to secure our own waterway. Okay? Of course, they can secure it, but you know the corruption behind it. We have had an occasion whereby the crude oil that came to steal the vessel that came to steal crude oil in Nigeria was being guided on Nigeria water, out of Nigeria water to the international water by the Nigerian Navy themselves. We have had occasions whereby Navy and those they call the pipeline vigilantes in Niger Delta have had clashes because the Nigerian Navy was guiding stolen crude oil. The oil militants, or what do you call them, the vigilantes for pipeline, they ran into them. Lack of communication or kind of a warning or what have you led to clashes whereby even people had to die. That's the situation of Nigeria. But because Nigeria, like Nigerians too, all right, who have kind of sublet their thinking or their own kind of a job to other people. So what happened? Nigerian forces or military, whatever, just exist for existence sake. But when it comes to where the Nigerian main wealth, source of forex comes from, the laxity of security there, to the point that Nigeria now relied on the former militants of Niger Delta to help them protect whatever they can protect of Nigeria crude. Nigeria was bleeding, still bleeding. And cut the long story short, the same Nigeria, which has already been proven as well that the reason why Kolu is more kind of going to invade Niger Republic is no other reason than the fact that the contract of lifting Nigeria crude oil, laying the pipeline from the Niger Delta region, southern Nigeria, straight into the deserts, passing through Niger, then to other countries, to Morocco, and then to Europe. Because the idea was that the Nord Stream pipeline, which happened to be the source of, energy supply, what do you call it, gas, fuel, and all that, to Europe from Russia, right? So which they believe has made Russia to hold, that kind of economic, strength against many of the sanctions that they kind of thrown their ways in the last 1.5 years, okay? So the idea was Nigeria is a big place. So the idea of let's build the pipeline from Nigeria, including the gas pipeline. It's not just crude oil pipeline they are building. No. They are building gas pipeline direct from the source. And the two biggest gas producing states in Nigeria today, apart from crude oil, right? There are two, Imo and Abia. You see these two states, the idea to tap theirs and then, kind of a pipe it down to Europe is one of the reasons why Kolu is kind of sold to the idea of invading Niger. But anyway, back to that same Nigeria. There's already a pipeline being laid that's also going to pass through Niger. This one is for crude oil. So if Niger junta somehow decided that the pipeline can pass through their country, so that is going to be like an economic setback for those who wanted to boycott Russia for Africa. You get that? But meanwhile, back home in Nigeria, where the oil thieves are still very much in business. Of course, the story about them catching vessels that stole crude oil from Nigeria and the whole destruction and all of that, they are just by the drama. However, when Ribadu got to River State yesterday, in their conversation, he came back to say, in fact, they had a clip, I'll show you that, okay? So yeah, he came back to say, well, Nigeria is still losing 400,000 barrels of crude oil every day. Now, maybe as a politician, they love to just drop numbers without thinking. But what he is practically saying is that since they came in as the National Security Advisor of Nigeria, with the record, with the facts, with the security report and facts before him, 400,000 barrel of Nigeria crude oil is being stolen. And that means between May and August, if you begin to add them up and that continues, that means Nigeria will be losing 12 million barrels of crude oil to oil thieves every year. Okay? So that would just be like a drop down from 21 to 22 million barrels being lost to oil thieves under Bukwari. So by that, I believe it is just something that just dropped, but I kind of would have to go along with is the National Security Advisor. It didn't just drop numbers. So who are those who are now opening the sea for them to the point that it is so easy to lift 400,000 barrels of crude oil from Nigeria every day? Questions. Probably you will never get the answer, or you can always call them the rhetorical questions. Who opened the door? The same people who are telling us that Nigeria is still bleeding and it's going to get worse. We'll go to River State a bit. When he met with the governor, and that one was like, one of the problems was that you awarded the security contract to one man. What happened to Nigeria Navy? What happened to Nigeria military? What happened to Nigeria DSS and the rest of them? What exactly are they doing? What's their job? They are chasing the supposed political enemies of the people who have made governance so kind of, it looks like a rocket science. Before we go to that River State, I must say something. Nigeria is a very, very funny place. That the worst of the worst, have always been in charge of the country. They have made governance look like it is not that easy. It is a rocket science. Yeah? When it's so obvious that the only problem is lack of accountability, lack of responsibility on their part, then corruption, which kind of fuel their own greed and the rest of that to look away. Why things really get worse. Let me give you an example. Nigeria has it's one of the countries with the best weather. Nigeria can actually grow their own food all year round. You know what's called all year round farming? It's applicable to Nigeria, right? From the north to the south. People are so poor because people are not, they are not allowed to farm. That alone is should be a national emergency. Nigeria, the giant of Africa, that spends billions and billions on procuring different weapons. But yet, the more they buy, the higher or the worse the insecurity gets. But look at it this way. If Nigeria knows, I mean, like the criminals in Nigeria, what would it cost them, right? So, number one, in order to curb insecurity, at first, you must be ready to punish offenders. Okay? You don't open door. Listen to this. So you don't invest billions in weapons to combat crime and terrorism. Then on the other hand, you opened another avenue and you called it repentant terrorists can walk in. So who are you deceiving? So imagine if a country like Nigeria genuinely invest in real drones. I'm talking about the, what do you call it? The geo-mapping drones that can actually map the locations of these criminals, and a coordinated, concerted, real effort will be put towards it, and a mop-up operation can mop them up at once. Not just that, and that same process of mopping them up will then screen them. That's the first start. Screen them and know those who are actually criminals and those who are manipulated to be part of it, and what have they done. And according to their crimes, execute them. Those ones that will die by hanging, those that will die by firing squad, those that will die by lethal injection, and those that would spend the rest of their lives in a special prison built by you. Now, when you have that mechanism in place, everybody knows where they are going. For instance, when Guantanamo Bay was still Guantanamo Bay, remember, anyone arrested by American forces in any part of the world accused of being a terrorist, they know where they are going to end. Now, when you have something like that, that means you are telling them you have zero tolerance for terrorism. Anybody who kidnapped anybody, whether in the north or in the south, anywhere, in the name of anything, if you kidnap anybody, you have committed an act of terrorism. Now, when people kind of know that system like that, where prosecutors, the lawyers that will, if they ever have to present any lawyer, the lawyers that will represent them would know that the crimes they have committed, by the law of Nigeria, they are going to get sentenced. But if they have any deal or whatever you want to give to them, like a system that kind of work, and then you genuinely invest in agriculture after bringing safety in, does that require a rocket science? Does that require any rocket science? Okay. You have a dwindled, or I can't even say a dwindling economy, already dwindled. Unemployment at the highest, poverty at the highest. Now, you can't cook figures to wish them away. You have to actually use the real figures, which should ordinarily motivate you in ending what you believe has become a national malaise, or what's it called? Anyway, Nigeria have one singular forex earning resources, and a resource rather, and that is crude oil. Now, you know this. Over the years, the corruption in the oil sector has kept Nigeria economy crippled and poor. In case if you are not telling yourselves that, the money you get from the oil royalty, it doesn't take rocket science, okay, to reinvest them in your own people, so that the multiplier effect of that is going to be a better standard of living, that you can say, thank God that they have oil. But in Nigeria, it is a curse. What is a rocket science about? Protecting and then prosecuting, especially prosecuting the criminals who have made it their own life job in that Nigeria, stealing Nigeria crude oil. Does that take a rocket science to invest in security that actually nip that and all other corruption associated with it? And just if you can cut it down by more than 60-70% alone and reinvest that same money in your people, in infrastructure, does that take a rocket science to do? But corruption, wishful thinking, like we wish they could do that too. But you know they won't, right? So the story is some people still have the wherewithal, they still have the resources to lift 400,000 barrels of crude oil out of Nigeria. I mean, that is a 12 million barrels a year. So 12 million barrels at $80 per barrel. Baba? No be 80 million, I be 800 million be that. I be 8 billion. You see the problem? Help me with that. But let's go to Rivers State, where Fubara hosted Ribadu before they went on excursion.
So for we in this state, before this time, we were one of the first states that were able to break the ranks of bunkering. My predecessor had a special team then. We funded them, and we gave this cabal a very serious run for their business at that time. And we are not even lowering the bar. Right from the president in office, I've also sustained that committee. We give him all the necessary support, and he's been giving us results on this area. So we are really, really working to see that this issue is really brought down. But the truth has to be said. What brings all this wahala? Unemployment and poverty. But who are the big people in this business? They are not people here. They are those people in Abuja who have these licenses, who do this exportation. It's not my people here. So if those people in Abuja are not encouraging it, I don't think the business will flourish. That's the truth. Security of pipeline and all those stuff should not be given to one man or one person to say, look, you're going to handle somebody from Calabari to come and control what is happening in Obebema. It's not possible now. Somebody from Obebema to come and control what is happening in Ogoni. You can understand that there's no way to work. We need to calm down, look at it in such a way that we bring in all these people, all these communities, their heads, or whatever you want to call them. Those people you're dealing with in this other end, but look for the anchor people that can really talk to them, people that can influence you already know, I don't want to mention it. Once we're able to catch them and make them part of the process, there is no two ways about it. It will on its own just go down.
We believe that it is time to do the right thing. And we are going to do it. A lot of you have done extremely well, particularly people who are on the ground, the government, those who are directly with the people. When we acknowledge that. NMPs have done extremely well as well. And we recognize that. And we are grateful. Same thing with our military. We are coming in to add to whatever that is ongoing, to even do it better. We want to give you the assurance that the federal government, and indeed the president, is with you, and we are all with you. We will work. We will do whatever it takes to secure your people and the resources that is in this country. I mean, this part of Nigeria.
The nation needs to secure its assets. And for that reason, we have the joint team that are responsible for providing security around our assets to visit these assets, both aerial view and facility visit, to see the challenges and indeed see how to resolve most of the security issues around our installations.
Government is talking about cartel. Government is talking about sharing the security contracts among other people, because you can't expect somebody from Kalabari to come and be protecting the pipeline in Ogoni. You don't expect somebody from, you get, that's government too. That's how they run government in Nigeria. The whole bragging of government is all lies. And when government talk about cartel, just know that they are the cartel. Look at them there. It's called change of guard. They are discussing Nigeria's most valuable resources. The one that was supposed to rescue and save Nigeria from these ruins. But look at the discussion. We will walk. Soldiers were sitting down there. Did you see them? Soldiers, generals. Generals where they work out with walking sticks. Nigeria generals. If you want to show that you are a general in Nigeria, you need a walking stick so that you can walk like that. And then that's how they sit together with terrorists. That's how they sit together with other economic saboteurs. Here you get a Nigeria thing. They are discussing. It's like Saudi Arabia, going to discuss those who are stealing their crude oil, okay? And they now have to meet with the regional, what do you call them? The regional militant leaders, like the ISIS. The ISIS, meet them and say, okay, you ISIS, we want you to be protecting our water. ISIS, we want you to protect our pipeline. And then they turn around and say, well, because we know that some cabals are very powerful, we are the ones in charge now, so we want you to go ahead and, like, what kind of a country is that? Like, how could you sit down and then tell yourself that Nigeria is going to be great one day with these characters? There is more female. It's just that this particular clip of theirs is not the first time for those who have actually seen this before. Buratai Devucha, some other service chiefs, and some other dramatics personnel, right? They have visited Niger Delta on many occasions. In fact, at a point under Bokwari, they were discovering illegal refineries in Niger Delta where people, they cook crude oil. Hey, silly people. People are like they are like soaked with crude oil, that black crude oil all over their body. And they are there with their drums. You know, their drums everywhere. Then they cook crude oil. Like I said, that they cook palm oil. Under Bokwari, go online, go on social media. Go on Google right now and search for it. Illegal refineries in Niger Delta. Now, Bokwari people, something that this guy is also doing to make it look like they are working. At the end of the day, after all that show off, now 700,000 barrels Nigeria was losing. Nigeria was losing 45,000 to 50,000 barrels of crude oil every day until these criminals took over in 2015. Nigeria was producing 1.8 million barrels of crude oil every day. until this guy came in 2015. Immediately they came in 2015. Nigeria's daily production started dwindling, started reducing, until it got to 800,000 barrels a day. At a point, because Nigeria couldn't meet up the OPEC quota. At a point, Nigeria crude oil in different vessels, they were just floating all over the Atlantic Ocean, looking for who to buy them. Go and Google what I just told you now. Nobody wanted to buy Nigeria crude oil. 2020, go and Google it. That was how ridiculous they destroyed the everything. But what they did in place of that is that as Nigeria lost production, the criminals who were stealing Nigeria crude oil, they expanded. They grew their own production they are stealing from 45,000 barrels a day to over 700,000 barrels a day. Do you know what that means? 700,000 barrels a day. I can't do wrong calculation, Baba. More take them down. Oh. When they were stealing 700,000 barrels a day, for a month, that's 21 million barrels. Oh. 21 million barrels of crude oil stolen from Nigeria every month. 21 million times 10, 210 million. 210 million plus 40, 42. That's 252 million. Nigeria was losing 252 million barrels of crude oil every year to thieves under APC for 7 years. They say it don't reduce to 400,000. Now, with that 400,000 a day, that is 12 million barrels of crude oil stolen from Nigeria every month. About every year, last song, 12 million times 10. Kini 120 million. 12 million times 2, 24. Abi, oje 144 million barrels of crude oil. They will be stealing under these criminals even more. But yeah, the dramas like 2015, when they went.
Where so much money is spent to build an infrastructure for the common good of all. Individuals will come in and destroy it. And then in the process, destroy the environment, destroy livelihood, destroy the source of revenue. And it is reflected in the difficulties we are facing.
I express our gratitude to Tantita that has been commissioned, by NNPC, to be able to do some work. But we need to do a lot more. And I believe that in the next few days, next few weeks.
So did you see that? And they kept referring to the real criminals led by that Kiari standing next to him. And they kept saying, thanks to NNPC. We are grateful to NNPC with what they have done. Thank you, NNPC, scripted and all that. It's just a drama. After what you saw there, business continua. Unfortunately. So talking about if they really wanted to help the people genuinely and not after when they are kind of compelled to, not really anyway. Or you heard that news of, or probably I should just remind you of the killed 36 personnel of Nigerian military and Nigeria Air Force. Yeah, and a kind of a rescue helicopter, a rescue chopper also crashed. All that happened in Niger State. Yes, in Nigeria. Now, the victims have been buried, according to reports out there. Then afterward, they said Nigerian military went back to that Niger State. And remember when their governor said, Niger State has the highest demography of the traveling or journeying Fulani terrorists. And they don't want any military action in Niger State. That they will talk to them. They call them bandits. And all that, blah, blah, blah. Baba, there is a video. That video was yesterday. And even though people have questions, so in case if you see the video too, you may have questions too. The soldiers said they have disarmed some of the bandits, the terrorists in Niger State, and they were waiting to move them to God knows where. Some people are saying, are all of these terrorists? Yes. Or are they victims? Are they kidnapped victims who are just caught when the soldiers came? I'll show you the video, and we'll talk about it afterward. All right? This was Niger State.
Come up for that road. Shift. Carry yourself. Open that road. Open the road like this. Straight. If I meet you there. Open and put the anya. Just open and carry yourself. Come up for road. Open and like this. Straight. Baba. Where you picking, Baba? Where that pressman? Only. Only who can himself come back.
Go there, the press.
Say go that place, see get what you in the snap.
Huh?
The other camp, see get what you in the snap.
They don't snap.
Kai, come out for this thing.
Did you see that? I don't know if it was just me. At a point, I was like this on that screen, like, Like that. I was like making different faces. I wish you could see my face. So, a lot of you have questions. I told you, I said, when you see the video, you're going to have a lot of questions too. Right? Like, is that the entire village they parking is in the bush? And they kind of paraded them as the bandits? Are those innocent people that Nigeria just happened to, whereby they will kind of declare all of them guilty before, like so many questions? Or are those real bandits from Niger State? If that is the number of bandits that the Nigerian soldiers was able to mop up, I swear, that means there is a bigger problem than you can think. Some people are asking, where are their guns? Where are their bikes? And other questions you are asking. I get it. I also have questions too. And that is why I'm sharing that with you. Because the Nigerian military recorded the video and uploaded it. So many questions. If that is the number of terrorists they have been able to put together from a single state, a single local government, that much. You know why I'm saying this is that if they should be who they said they are, can you even imagine the level of orientation and conviction that made them to pick up that line of terrorism in the first place? Do you imagine the kind of orientation that kind of encouraged that number of young people to be bandits and terrorists as they have been presented? If they are, we are talking about millions of terrorists, young people. If you begin to put the numbers together, that is a problem. If you add this one to it, the day they say, okay, they want to go and do what they are doing in Niger Delta, protecting the resources of Nigeria for the benefit of Nigerians, like Ribadu and Co. went to River State to do, right? So maybe one day if they decided to go to this place, imagine the number of them they would have to arrest doing this illegality in Zamfara.
Sagiru dan sagi shege ya san wuri mai kyau kenan. Kun ga yadda aka hatuwa da gara mai sallasu guntattaki
mu ba da kuɗi mu fasa mu shi waccan Allah na
kace Allah ka
a to shikenan sai in bashi gara
ya rere kai bura uba da ba ta kai da ba uba ka kai.
See that? That is like a whole town gone to illegal miners. So when they decided to go and do something there, do you know how like scary stuff, yeah? Well, you can say that again. Some got the palliatives from APC. They got rice, they got beans, and they got vegetable oil. Even though they got slapped, they got beaten, pushed by the police where they were trying to collect it. That one is better. The picture of what they sent from Nasarawa, ladies and gentlemen, it was like they were counting the spaghetti. Abi? Like, okay, oh yeah, 5 people will share one pack. Oh yeah, let's count it. Some of you got your own in bottles, your own vegetable oil, cooking oil. This is what they gave them in Nasarawa. Palliative of 5 billion naira. Nasarawa no pass by Yesao. But Nasarawa people, Sakpa Messi bien, I don't understand Hausa, but I know you know that Shakpa Malekun is like welcoming Shakpa to say, at least we are alive. Hmm? Yeah, there is this particular song that came to me, that actually comes to mind. Uh, you know, some have mouth, but they can't eat. I have mouth and I can eat. Some have nose, they can breathe. I have nose, but I can breathe. You know what I mean? So that's the situation in that part of Nigeria today. They say, they just welcome it. They say, Shakpa Malekun. They say, wa alaikum salam abibao. The Alumajiri system that they have now nationalized in Nigeria, a lot of you are still lucky. Even though there are others who are carrying bags in that part of northern Nigeria too, okay? In fairness, so. But what did they want make them do with that one? Well, it is what it is. Others are saying that, say, Alpha Baba, say, well, Baba, oh, Shakpa be praised, though. Yeah, have you never heard that one? Where people will say, like, oh, Baba, praise be to Shakpa, new. Say, but how come you can't be like this? I mean, Kilo Shelle, now you look kind of, you look depressed, you look, where all of us, they diagnose ourselves, right? So, but why do you look so you look worried? Oh, Baba, praise be to Shakpa Jari. If you did this Nigeria, you will understand why everybody is frowning. You understand why everybody is kind of almost angry. I mean, the anger seems to have been subsiding right now when a lot of you don't really see much traffic that could get you much angrier now. There's so much that Shakpa has done to the people of Nigeria, including some of us outside Nigeria too, who are also feeling the wind, trying to kind of blow it back. You know what I mean? So yeah, people are kind of gisting about it somewhere, and I picked that up. I was like, "What's in Shakpa Malekun? What in all praise be to Shakpa or Shakpa be praised? Which one is? I know about Shakpa Mercy Bien. Shakpa Mercy Bien is like saying, Shakpa John now, please now, take it easy on me now. You know that kind of situation where you be like, oh, mom, what's I'll do? I wish you what you wish yourselves. So we woke up this morning. Okay, I woke up this morning, just like Atiku, also kind of tweeted. He said, somebody said Shakpanomics. Now, if you call it Shakpanomics or you call it Tifnubunomics, you are still going to be right. If your teacher or your lecturer set up a sort of a question and asks that describe Nigeria economy in one word, 50 marks. So all you have to say is that Nigeria economy can be simply described as Tifnubunomics or Shakpanomics. I mean, people who knows, and it took on more, I'll tell you the truth though. Now, person where you concerned, now them feel explain to you, but well, that's just by the way. So Atiku said he woke up this morning and he was wondering, he said he was confused. Kilosha Atiku to were confused. It was because somehow Atiku has come across something that is keeping to his chest about Tifnumbu. I have told you, I am not sure if that's going to make any kind of a difference at all. But at least for the sake of those of you who are political history students, some of you are like, I'm a political science, other of you are studying political science. And every other thing that has to do with history, whatever Atiku is cooking, I can bet it, even if it doesn't remove Tifnumbu from Abuja, ladies and gentlemen, it is worth smelling. The Empress, thank you very much, That's very kind of you. And I haven't seen you in a while. Maybe I haven't seen much of your comments, by the way. So are you doing well, man? Happy Sunday. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, so Atiku woke up and Atiku said, is confused, and he hoped that all Nigerians will be confused too. Kilo confused Atiku. Tifnubu again, because Atiku didn't go back to Dubai this time around. You know, usually when things are done like this, after Atiku will go back to his base in Dubai until the next election. But somehow, Atiku didn't go to Dubai this time. In fact, he had to drag Kolu to American courts. By the way, on the side though, the Agbadorians and the rest of them are celebrating this image. I'll tell you something about this image, yeah? So you see this lady, this American on the left, right? Came to deliver, according to them, came to deliver Joe Biden's message to Tifnubu in Nigeria, okay? So she happened to be an assistant deputy secretary of state. I don't know what that means by rank, but whatever that means, she is just there to deliver a message to Kolu. And from that message, which I believe has already been tweaked or twisted, they said Joe Biden sent that woman to Kolu and said, please, Kolu, Joe, when you come to America next month for the UNGA meeting, that is a United Nations General Assembly meeting, or what is it called? UNGA. That Joe Biden was, when you come to America for UNGA next month, please, I beg you, I want to talk to you on the side before other people. And you are the only one I want to talk to from Africa. That's the message. That's what they said. And you know, Joe Biden himself and Kolu, they are two ancestors somehow, but somehow people will be like, Baba, no, don't ever compare Joe Biden with Kolu. They are, it's like insulting ancestors. Okay, anyway, I'll leave you to it. That's the woman Joe Biden sent to say he wants to speak to Kolu on the side of UNGA meeting in New York. Please don't say no, please. That's what they said. They said, please don't say no. And in that same America, Atiku and his own lawyer, they are dragging America University, Chicago State University. They are dragging them. They are dragging American judicial system. They are dragging Kolu, all of them. They are dragging their Koropon right now in the US. And that's when Atiku woke up this morning, he said he was confused. Kilo for confusion. They discovered that maybe we are debating whether one is fake, whether one is original, whether kiniko being kokon, waiting Atiku can't find out in America that they wanted the Chicago State University to, on record, legally, to be the ones to give them those information. But they already don't get some certain things. Say, it is either Tifnubu use Ori Olori. And this Ori Olori they used of this young girl called Bola A. Tinubu. She was a girl. Here you get. So is that Kolu used Ori Olori afterward? Because there's so many things wrong, right? They wanted the Chicago State University to tell them, because in that your form, that Bola A. Tinubu, she's an American. She's a girl, an American. This Shongolere Tinubu, there's nowhere he stated that he is an American or he became an American in any of his record. Nowhere. So, Tifnubu is an American that they mixed up his sex way back in 1975. Or Tifnubu just kind of took Ori Olori, adopted somebody else's identity, and he just ran with it. Yeah? So, Atiku said, in 1999, when Kolu filled his INEC form to contest for governor of Lagos State, in that form, Kolu said he went to St. John Primary School, Aroloya, in Lagos. After that, he went to Children Home School in Ibadan. After that, He went to government boys. I see the names. Hang on. Yeah, Children Home School in Ibadan. After that, he said he went to Government College Ibadan. Government College Ibadan. From Government College Ibadan, Tinubu said he then moved on to, wait me that name again, Richard Daly College in America. Then that Richard Daly College later changed to Chicago State University. So which means all this record that Tinubu filled in 1999 to contest election, Gani Fawayemi traced all of them. They say everything are fake. There was never any school called St. John Primary School